The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Good evening and welcome to Today on One. I'm Maggie Forciedo. In the news tonight, Ndaitunga activates forces in light of looting threats. Shangula explains the idea behind the curfew. Informal settlements benefit from urban gardening project. And Roundup, Comments Corner, Business on One, Sports and the weather. Now for the news in detail. Police Chief Sebastian Ndaitunga has put out a stern warning to those circulating threats of looting in the capital, adding that the force has apprehended 2 individuals for spreading information on the threats of looting and riots similar to the unrest taking place in neighbouring South Africa. The Inspector General also confirmed that he has activated the security machinery in the event of chaos erupting in the country. Salma Tapopi has more.
Police chief warned that no threat of looting will be tolerated nor taken lightly by the law enforcement, adding that investigations are underway to find the author of a message threatening to unleash a looting spree in one of Windhoek's malls. He further appealed to members of the public to cooperate with security agencies and report behavior aimed at destabilizing peace and security in the country.
Immediately we got these circulations of incitement of violence in the social media. We activated the security machineries in trying to trace those who are posting these unwarranted comments on the social media. We ended up getting into contact with 2 individuals whom we have interrogated as to how they have been involved in this type of circulation of inciting violence, trying to copy and emulate examples that are not peaceful, peace destabilizer, example of the looting process that has been going on in South Africa, and then we put up necessary mechanisms, security mechanisms, and up to now we are trying to trace the author, since this has been circulating so viral to all many groups. So sometimes it's difficult to detect who is the author at that moment. But up to now, we are busy, and we have no doubt that we will trace them. And we want to assure the public, everybody in Namibia, that this type of behavior will never be tolerated. And we have taken necessary measures, and whoever dares to involve in this type of behavior, we will deal with them to the extent that they will never forget. And therefore, all of our strategic positions, whether malls, shops, strategic installations, we are there. They are under our surveillance.
The police chief further assured Namibians that the country is safer than it has ever been, despite the situation in the neighboring country, noting that the force is prepared for any disruptions.
Any threat that comes, you never underestimate it. Take the necessary measures to protect lives and the properties of our citizens. The choppers are there, the police officers, special reserves, special field force. We are ready. They are all over. I think you have seen them in the malls, in the shopping centers. We have deployed just in case, so that we don't, any person who try to be funny will not get a chance. We are ready for them. The public should just be confident that their lives, their properties are safer than ever before, and we are there. But we can only succeed in all these things if we are together with the public. The public should inform us. The public should tell us if they have any information of those who are trying to destabilize peace and security, those who are making trouble in their business or in their neighborhood, so that we can react, so that we can make sure that we deal with them.
The unrest in neighboring South Africa has gone on for over a week, but the situation has started to stabilize after armed forces were deployed on the streets of affected areas.
Namibia is bleeding. Women and children no longer feel safe in the land of their birth. This is not due to war, but due to gender-based violence perpetrated by mostly men. This call is to our fathers, brothers and sons to unite against gender-based violence. Let us come together and say a big no to gender-based violence. Together, we can build a safer and better society for all. My Namibia, my country, my pride.
Prevention is important. Help prevent the spread of illness and keep yourself and others well. Hand washing is one of the most effective ways of preventing the spread of germs. Wash your hands regularly with soap and hot water, scrubbing your hands thoroughly for at least 20 seconds. Hand sanitizers can be used but are not recommended as a substitute for hand washing. Use sanitizers in addition to hand washing or in a situation where soap and water are not available. To avoid spreading germs, limit sharing of personal items such as utensils, cups, and dishes. Your skin acts as a barrier to germs, but your eyes, nose, and mouth are more vulnerable. Wash your hands thoroughly before touching your face, eating, or drinking. Avoid physical contact with others, including handshakes, fist bumps, high fives, hugs, and kisses. Social distancing is deliberately increasing the physical space between people to avoid spreading germs. While regulations may vary by country or area, the best guideline for social distancing is to maintain a distance of 6 feet from others. Germs can travel through the air from one person to another. If you sneeze or cough, do so into a tissue or the inside of your elbow to prevent the spread of germs. Avoid contact with ill individuals and insist they isolate themselves until they have recovered and are symptom-free. Clean and sanitize frequently touched common surfaces and high-traffic areas in your home and workplace several times a day. Share these guidelines with others and help prevent the spread of illness and maintain a healthy environment. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure.
In a time of uncertainty, false news, and fear, learn on. While the world scrambles to make new sense, while the experts turn around in circles, trying to find their way back to tomorrow. Learn on. When classrooms become empty cathedrals and the trees start to bear answers. Learn on. Learn on until every parent is a teacher and every teacher is a mentor. Learn on until you cross the boundaries of your mind, until you grow eyes and sprout wings. My friend, learn on. On sidewalks, on the floor, at the neighbors, in the market, in hallways, in churches, under trees, at kitchen tables, in riverbeds. Learning doesn't only happen between four walls. Learning happens in the small space of your enormous, beautiful mind. Start where you are. Use what you have. Learn on one. Invite learning in.
Speaking at the 31st COVID-19 public briefing, Dr. Kalumbi Shangula, Minister of Health and Social Services, explained the idea behind the curfew and how it is being used to reduce infection rates. Also in attendance was the Minister of Justice, Yvonne Dowsap, who emphasized that violating the curfew places undue strain on the justice sector's infrastructure. This report from Leston Waller.
Minister of Health and Social Services Dr. Kalumbi Shangula said that the only time you cannot control individuals' behavior is at night.
During the day, and of course, when we take all these measures, you make a balance between prevention of the infection and also protecting the livelihoods. You have to strike that balance. The economic activities, they are normally taking place during the day. And when these are taking place, there is an unregulated self-policing, so to say. If you are, during the day, if you are at work, you are either in your office and you don't have an opportunity to go and socialize. So you do activity which is aimed at economic promotion. Now, why are the curfew after hours? After hours is when a person has got the freedom to socialize. It's when they go to visit. During the day you don't visit anybody because everybody else is busy. In the evening after work, you go and visit. You go into the entertainment places. You are not staying home. The president make it absolutely clear that one of the most important things and the appeal he made is for people to stay at home. Now the curfew is exactly doing that.
The Justice Minister added that many people are still violating the COVID-19 regulations despite the increase in positive cases.
We have noticed that there's been a lot of pressure on our justice sector infrastructure, particularly prisons and police stations and so forth. We are currently looking at whether there are alternative ways that we can introduce to address the concern of having people congest at police stations or in prison cells. That's something that we're working on. In the meantime, we are encouraging the Namibian public to simply comply with the regulations, and then we don't have to put so much pressure on the activities that relates to particularly maintenance of law and order in general, to the operation of the Namibian police. And I want to just indicate that we notice that the regular interventions relate to the sale of alcohol. People are now, particularly between Fridays and Sundays, people are using camouflage such as butcheries to continue to sell alcohol. And the Namibian police have noticed that this is the case. So we are making a distinction between mourners and service providers at the funerals. And that really means those that provide a service, such as a pastor, for example, would not be included in the 10-person requirement. People still continue to find reasons to travel, and we want to encourage the Namibian public to please do every effort, unless it's really, really important for you to travel. We've indicated it's essential service, it's people who have an emergency, mainly medical emergencies, or an emergency activity that is life-threatening, and of course, we people who go and bury their parents, their siblings, not aunties and uncles and all of those other things. We understand that sometimes these situations are complex, but we do want to encourage you, please, to try and stay away from traveling if you are able to do so.
The health minister is encouraging the Namibian nation to stay safe and prevent infection by following the regulations.
Enjoy these fantastic mid-month savings only at Clicks until 21 July. Buy Clicks 2-ply toilet paper, 18 rolls, $89.99 per pack. Buy Pampers Active Baby Pants Value Pack, now $186.99 per pack. Or buy Nivea deodorant 150 mils 2 for $52. And buy Clicks Silky Bubbles Foam Bath 2 litres 2 for $110. Clicks, feel good, pay less.
We hear of a health innovation in Cote d'Ivoire that allows people to carry their personal and medical data on them in the form of jewelry.
Do I actually have to come for every single antenatal clinic? Because those things are tiring.
Thereafter, we have the answers to the 5 frequently asked questions on maternal health on our weekly segment 5 Under 5. We also find out what exactly goes on in an intensive care unit and the crushing stress that comes with it. But first, what do you do if your baby is choking? We hear the untold stories of what could happen when a baby's choking gets serious and goes unattended.
The Nutrition and Food Security Alliance of Namibia officially handed over seeds, trees and gardening tools as well as nutrition training materials to the Shack Dwellers Federation of Namibia and the Namibia Housing Action Group. The donation is part of the Urban Gardening and Nutrition in Urban Communities project, which aims to raise awareness and scale up food security during the COVID-19 pandemic. Joseph Ilonga has more.
Over the last 10 months, the Nutrition and Food Security Alliance of Namibia, also known as NAFSAN, has worked in collaboration with the Shack Dwellers Federation of Namibia and the Lolo Permaculture Initiative to scale up the Urban Gardening and Nutrition in Urban Communities project. Today on One, met with Ben Schernick, the director of NAFSAN, to discuss more about the project.
NAFSAN is the Nutrition and Food Security Alliance of Namibia. It is an umbrella organization for civil society, academia and private sector organization to make sure that Namibia has sufficient nutritious food available and people are aware of the food, and really to support the work of our members in line of food and nutrition security. Currently with COVID there is a clear crisis in terms of having sufficient food and also having enough healthy food, and that is why urban gardening is really one of the key projects that we wanted to support. And the Shack Dweller Federation is a wonderful organization in terms of its grassroots connection within the communities, its representation in all the regions. So it was key for us to do several pilot gardening projects and nutrition trainings that can then be scaled up through the federation into all the different regions of Namibia.
So far, the project has successfully established about 50 gardens in Windhoek's informal settlements, mainly in Havana, Sonderwater, Ongulumbashe and Ochimise. We also met with the director of a Lolo Permaculture Initiative, Donovan Wagner, to discuss what exactly a permaculture design is and why the project adopted this system.
We use the permaculture approach because permaculture is truly a design philosophy. So we are looking at different elements within the environment, including the human being, and how these elements interact. For example, when you put your garden, your vegetable garden into your shack space that you have available, you need to think about it. That means you think about the interaction between your garden, yourself, and the space around it. So where does the water come from? If there's any runoff from rain, where's the wind coming from? Cold winds and dry winds make a real big impact on your vegetables and your plants. And of course, where do people walk and where is it the most convenient for you to put your garden, just as an example.
The Urban Gardening and Nutrition in Urban Communities project is funded by the Global Scaling Up Nutrition Movement, an initiative that aims to promote resilience and food security during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Why do we do it? Cover up, tone down, hide, instead of choosing boldness. Celebrate the skin you're in with Nivea Rich Nourishing. Our triple layered care of deep moisture serum, natural almond oil, and vitamin E enriches your skin for 48 hours. It's time to show off your best skin. Choose to wear your skin with pride every time with Nivea Rich Nourishing.
BBC's Smart Money program presents an exciting new technology segment dubbed Smart Tech.
Ghana have a problem of unemployment, also the problem of housing and schools under trees. Now Plus wants to use the problem of plastic waste to solve the problem of schools under trees, housing, and create more jobs for the youth in the country.
Bonjour. Hello, I am Sao Duniang, director of the Palms Luxury Boutique Hotel in Dakar. I started by cleaning a toilet. Today, I am the manager of my own 5-star hotel boutique with 60 employees.
To give more people access to these life-saving vaccines, South Africa and India have proposed a waiver of COVID-19 patents, and the move seems to be gathering momentum after receiving the backing of the United States. But even if the patent waiver is indeed granted, can Africa manufacture these vaccines at scale?
In other leading stories, Honorable Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of Namibia, hosted Honorable Dr. Naledi Pandor, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa, for diplomatic and political consultations in Windhoek. The consultations allowed the ministers to consult each other and exchange views on a wide range of issues pertaining to the strengthening and consolidation of bilateral relations and cooperation between Namibia and South Africa. The ministers agreed that the Republic of Namibia would host the third session of the Namibia-South Africa Binational Commission on dates to be mutually agreed upon in 2021. In this regard, the ministers directed their senior officials to convene before the end of August 2021 to prepare for the BNC. The ministers commended the efforts by the two governments to combat the spread of COVID-19, including the rolling out of vaccines to their respective populations. Namibia commended South Africa for leading, together with India, at the World Trade Organization. The initiative to have intellectual property rights, waiver on COVID-19 related medicines and vaccines to enable equal and fair access to all countries, rich and poor. On regional matters, the meeting exchanged views on issues related to the peace and security situation in the SADC region and commended SADC initiatives to address the challenges in the Republic of Mozambique and the Kingdom of Eswatini to ensure lasting peace and security in the region. Namibia expressed concern at the incidences of looting and criminality prevailing in some provinces of South Africa. Pandor assured Namibia that transport corridors would continue operating uninterrupted to deliver goods and services to Namibia, particularly essential goods needed to fight COVID-19. And Germany has sent another plane, the A400 of the German armed forces, to Namibia, which has delivered more equipment such as 20,000 safety goggles and 40,000 rapid antigen tests for the fight against COVID-19. The German government recently delivered medical supplies consisting of 300,000 gowns, 60 care beds, 40,000 antigen rapid tests, 20,000 safety goggles, and 500,000 N95 masks. Further assistance from Germany will follow in the coming weeks.
Akili, 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 akili. Water, water, wash your hands. Scrub with soap, wash your hands. Front and back, wash your hands. To be clean and safe. Wash your hands before you eat your breakfast. Wash your hands before you eat your lunch. Wash your hands before you eat your dinner. Wash your hands before you start to munch. Water, water, wash your hands. Scrub with soap, wash your hands. Front and back, wash your hands to be clean and safe. Wash your hands after using the toilet. Wash your hands after you sneeze or cough. Wash your hands after you touch animals. Wash your hands to wash all the germs off. Water, water, wash your hands. Scrub with soap, wash your hands. Front and back, wash your hands to be clean and safe. Wash your hands before you eat your breakfast, before you eat your lunch, before you eat your dinner, before you start to munch. After using the toilet, after you sneeze or cough, after you touch animals, to wash all the germs off. Wash your hands! Water, water, wash your hands. Scrub with soap, wash your hands. Front and back, wash your hands to be clean and safe.
Let's cross over to Joseph Shufeni for today's edition of Business on One and Economic Indicators.
Welcome to Business on One. I'm Joseph Shufeni. Would Namibia be able to stand on its own and become a self-sufficient economy, considering its dependency on its southern neighbor for over 60% when it comes to trade activities? The Namibian dollar too is pegged to the South African rand, and this week it was announced that the rand dropped significantly against the US dollar amidst the unrest as investors lose confidence. We spoke to economist and head of research at the High Economic Intelligence, Salomo Hay, on this matter. In 2018, Sam Shivute, a director at the central bank, was asked on why Namibia should maintain the currency tied to the South African rand. In response, he said Namibia gains over $300 million from the peg annually. This week, the talks of whether Namibia should take its own path and determine its own economic future was raised in the political sphere as violence in South Africa disrupts trade. The rand also dropped to its weakest level in 2 months. Now, in terms of currency, Salomo, I was not surprised to see late this week to see the South African rand drop against the US dollar. What does this mean for Namibia? I mean, our dollar is pegged to the South African rand.
we have not been dependent on South Africa overnight. This process has been with us for a very long time. And could we have looked at perhaps preparing to start pathing our own way? Absolutely. Is there a plan to make sure that we start becoming self-sustainable in the medium to long term? I'm not quite sure about that, but ideally that's what you would want to do. You would want to start thinking about looking into the future. And what you have in South Africa is really a problem that could also mirror Namibia. You've got a high unemployment rate, you've got high inequalities, you've got high poverty levels, and if you put that as a cocktail with everything else that's happening there, you almost inclined to think that this is a ticking time bomb. It's really a matter of time to start seeing these sort of things that are happening there. So what we are saying is that in order for you to enjoy real peace and stability, you need to make sure that economic prosperity filters through to everyone in the country. You need to create jobs for the young people. You need to create opportunities. You need to make sure that people can thrive with talent and innovation. You need to open up the creative space. And through that, you will lead to an economy that won't get involved or rather be engaged in these sort of things that are happening in South Africa.
Are we likely to see this local central bank pronouncing itself on this as well, maybe changing the repo?
Well, I don't see that happening, because what this means is that households are further under pressure, you know. What it means is that demand is further suppressed, you know. It means that where you, for instance, if you were working for, say, ShopRite, right, and shops are looted, right, it means that you lose your job. And by losing your job, it means that you cannot service your credit card, for an example. So what does it mean? It means that you are running into huge problems. So it would be of no purpose for the central bank to move the repo rate up. I mean, to what end? Because affordability is already compromised, because you've got more people that are losing jobs, demand is suppressed, the supply is disappearing because obviously of having to reset and set some sort of recovery on some of these issues again because of them having been burned down and. So I don't see the central bank taking a decision based on what's happening in South Africa. What I would rather want to see the central bank do is start having a conversation around when do we start preparing to perhaps depeg from South Africa. What do we need to do? Do we need to look at our productive capacity? How do we increase that? You know, and have a plan. Is it going to be a 2-year plan? Is it going to be a 5-year plan? And then once these sort of things happen in South Africa, we'll still be able to enjoy our onions. We'll still be able to enjoy our carrots. We'll still be able to enjoy our food, you know, and not be thinking, oh, we're running out of food because South Africa is burning.
Now, all right, Salomo, my very last question, in terms of the unrest, are other countries, neighboring countries such as Botswana, are they too facing the same uncertain times, such as us this side?
Absolutely. I mean, look, Botswana also has a big supply out of South Africa. And remember that even within the SACU trading arrangement, all the countries basically benefit from South Africa. Obviously, South Africa benefit from us because also of the economies of scale that they enjoy. So in that respect, all the countries are affected. Some obviously are affected more because of the dependencies. I mean, you know what's happening in Eswatini as well. There's also issues going on there. Lesotho is heavily dependent on South Africa. Zimbabwe is heavily dependent on South Africa. So essentially, it's the whole sub-region that's going to experience this supply shortage and will lead to an increase in in prices for goods and services, because the moment I've got 2 tomatoes in the shop, I can charge any price on those tomatoes, right? As opposed to when I have the full value of tomatoes that I usually sell.
And that is all we have for you. Join us again next time, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
This is my favorite gear, cause it speaks for me and all my brothers. Nivea Men Black and White Deo. With 5 times Deo action to protect you and your favorite gear from stains. Try Nivea's #1 anti-stain deodorant. Nivea Men, it starts with you.
Great combo deal from Choppies! Choppies, great value for your money.
Are you a CMS member? With HospiCash 100, you can get up to 100,000 Namibian dollars cover with a 30,000 limit per event from as little as 100 Namibian dollars a month. We understand that being in hospital can be stressful. That is why with HospiCash 100, you can cover your non-medical expenses by receiving cash payouts when you are in hospital, so you can recover stress-free. Interested? SMS your name and HospiCash to 555 and we will call you back.
Time now for Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from the hottest social media pages. President Harry Geingob at the 31st COVID-19 briefing cautioned the Namibian nation against following in the footsteps of what is happening in South Africa, adding that there will be consequences should looting and rioting take place in the country. This comes after threats have emerged on social media platforms calling for Namibians to also start looting the various shopping malls in the country. Ellie says that what happened in South Africa represents all of Africa. Nkala says those that are extremely hungry and tired of being unemployed can find their own ways of speaking to the government, adding that the South African government must be sued for failing to protect the properties. Palace noted that the president does not need to talk about it as members of the public know the suspects, adding that instigating is a crime on its own. While Bantu noted that there is no looting and unrest in Namibia, asking why the president is not addressing issues facing Namibia. That is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages every day, only on Today on One.
Winter is here. Let's warm you up by giving you a chance to win one of 12 gas heaters and accessories or a grand prize of 50,000 Namibian dollars. To enter the Winter Warmers competition, simply buy any combination of 2 or more of the following participating brands: Baker's, 5 Roses, Fresh Pack, Frisco, or Hug in a Mug, and SMS Winter to 445. And remember to keep your till slip as proof of purchase. Promotions run from the 1st of May to the 31st of July. For more information and entry details, visit 99fm.com.na. T's and C's apply.
New Nivea Black and White Deo protects me and my favorite outfit. That's why I feel confident and free. With 5 times Deo Action formula, I stay fresh and protected for 48 hours. And my clothes stay stain-free. Try SA's #1 anti-stain Deo.
Time now for today's sports update with Castro Ulumbu.
Welcome to Sports on One. I'm your host Castro Ulumbu. As the much anticipated major international multi-sporting event draws closer with only 7 days left before it commences, Namibia has finalized its team for Tokyo that will represent the country at this year's showpiece to be held in Japan. Today on One Sports Desk has more on this story.
At a courtesy call to the head of state Hage Geingob, which was attended by the Minister of Sports, the Namibia National Olympic Committee President and Team Namibia, President Geingob applauded the athletes and wished them the best of luck.
That in itself is an achievement, that you are going to represent your country in Japan. It's an achievement all of us were hoping for when you were your age. We didn't have the conditions that you are having today, and we couldn't make it. I was a very good sports person in everything. It could have been maybe boxing even, or running, marathon, but you see, we didn't have that chance. Now you had that, and you made use of it. So congratulations. It's a very difficult time. It's a difficult time for the whole world. Olympics to be held under these kind of conditions is unusual. But we're in an unusual situation. A new normal must be accepted. So I'd like to congratulate all of you for having qualified. It's not easy to qualify for Olympics. So first, congratulations. We'll be watching you. And when you are running, you must know we are watching you, I'm watching you. And then when you come back, we're going to receive you, and I'm going to receive you because you are going to give something. What you have. Otherwise, if I heard there is nothing, why should I come and meet you? And Namibia is well-behaved people, no thieves, no misbehavior, drunkenness, and so on. But obey your coaches, and therefore represent Namibia, the land of the brave, like brave people who are representing brave country.
With earlier news by the international athletics body that medal prospects and teenage sprinters will not be able to participate in what they call their baby event, the 400-meter track race event at the Tokyo Games, due to alleged high testosterone levels, Geingob expressed disappointment in the World Athletics body, further tasking the Namibia National Olympic Committee and the Ministry of Sports to appeal the case.
As for the other two ladies, young ones, firstly, I'm disappointed with this world. Honestly, we must still not just sit down, as you said. We must protest. That's very unfair, but you don't interrupt the situation now. So you must go, but we are going to fight on. This discrimination, when they see people are doing well, to bring in all kinds of things. You are made that way. Huh? And you practice and you run and beat them, then they bring excuses. We are going to protest. But when you are going to run now, 200 and what? 100. You must win, huh? Is that what you're telling me?
It's just 200. We just
Yeah, 200.
Yeah.
No. I want to know, are you going to win?
Do my best.
That's it. That's Namibia now. Yes, you're just going to do your best. Don't kill yourself. There's still future. It's the first time you are going there. Some people have been going, even in boxing or in soccer and so on. So even if I don't want you to lose, but even if you don't bring the cup, don't hide. We are still going to receive you with open arms and congratulate you for participating. And that flag. You see, when you are going to be there, our flag will be seen by the whole world, whether you win or not. So you are representing the country. I said you are an ambassador. All of you are ambassadors. So participation and flying that flag in itself is a big achievement. Namibia has a lot of people, but you are the only ones who are going to Japan for the first time. You are a chosen few. You chose yourself, of course, by your performance. But we are proud and say we are sending you. We chose you to represent us. Therefore, I'm now formally, because I have power to appoint ambassadors. So therefore, don't ask for benefits now. I'm now formally appointing you as Namibia's ambassadors in sports. So congratulations, go well.
The Tokyo Olympic Games will be held from the 23rd of July until the 8th of August 2021, followed by the Paralympic Games, which will be held from the 24th of August to the 5th of September. Both games are set to take place in Tokyo, Japan. Namibia will be represented by 11 able athletes in 5 disciplines. Currently, 4 athletes will represent Namibia at the Paralympic Games, whilst still hoping for more slots to qualify by the end of the qualification period to determine the final number.
And that is all we have for you tonight. Follow us again next week for Sports on One, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Thanks for the sports update, Castro. Time now for the weather forecast.
Now a look at the weather forecast, but first an advisory from the Windhoek Met office. Very cold conditions are expected to set in the south on Wednesday, so please take the necessary precautions. The interior will be sunny and mild to warm in the Karas and Hardap regions, elsewhere partly cloudy and mild to warm. It will be windy in the north, central and eastern regions. The coast will be sunny and mild to warm in the south, elsewhere partly cloudy and hot. Wind will be moderate to fresh northeasterly to southwesterly. Now let's have a look at the minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
That is all we have for you. Catch a repeat at 9:30 this evening and the Omnibus Saturdays from 9 to 2. Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. Till next time, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future. A hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Humanitarian crises are all too familiar to television viewers. Civil wars that cause huge movements of refugees, worldwide pandemics, and natural disasters like earthquakes and tsunamis. This is the way most of us are used to seeing these heart-wrenching events, on a screen in front of us, watching passively. But what if you could step into the frame and actually feel what it's like for the individuals on the ground?
People come out of it feeling enlightened and often moved and often ready to take action. A lot of people automatically say, well, what can I do? How can I get involved?
Garbo Aurora is leading a team at the United Nations who are using cutting-edge technology to raise awareness, empathy and funds, both to respond to humanitarian crises and to bolster support for a new set of sustainable development goals around the globe.
Virtual reality is the ability to really take part in a story that usually you're only a passive spectator on. And you actually get the sensation of feeling like you're being there.
By using multiple cameras that can record in all directions and software that can stitch the images together, virtual reality creates an experience that enables the viewer to see a movie from every angle, above, below, and behind.
It's exciting for the UN, to be involved in some of those early experiments of how we're trying to tell stories, make these films, and work with some of the most cutting-edge people in the industry on it.
So the UN reached out to us and connected, and we realized that there was a great opportunity here to tell some very important stories and to tell them in a way that we thought would be totally new and highly impactful. The way that I define virtual reality at this point in time is basically the hacking of your senses to convince you that you're somewhere other than where you are. Often, I think of it as a sense of vulnerability. So one of the things we've realized in some of our stories is you have a heightened sense of empathy and a heightened sense of connection as a result of that vulnerability.
That heightened sense of connection and empathy was exactly what Garbo Aurora was looking to create at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Not only to inspire leaders to take action, but also to influence donors to increase funding for disaster response efforts.
I'd started experimenting with using innovative ways of advocacy, and I started talking to a lot of different partners and people. What could we do that would be incredible? And someone said, I just came from a meeting at Samsung, and, with some of these other virtual reality headsets, wouldn't it be amazing if you got all of those elite people who could actually go to a refugee camp, or they could go to an Ebola clinic? I just really felt it would get our issues highlighted.
In addition to the screenings at Davos, virtual reality portals have been set up to view the films at high-level political forums around the world. The virtual reality film on display was Clouds Over Sidra.
Clouds Over Sidra is a short film in virtual reality about a girl named Sidra who lives in Zatari camp, which is a Syrian refugee camp in Jordan. And it is a story about a young girl who is giving you a tour of the camp, of what it's like, what her life is like. When the film debuted in Davos, it was a sensation to everyone we showed it to. They come out of it very deeply moved. I'd say half the people who watch Clouds Over Sidra cry. And then we cut a version for UNICEF, for its face-to-face fundraisers. The way they do that is usually someone with a clipboard on the street in Europe or in different countries. So they thought, well, what if we got people to experience virtual reality on the street?
Quite sad. They don't have a good environment to stay. We try our best to help them.
Early reporting from UNICEF has shown that when using virtual reality, they've doubled the effectiveness of their fundraising efforts. This report was produced by Ben Lybrand for the United Nations.
Dink jy sy het nog steeds abandonment issues?
Is moontlik.
Ons moeite met die sprokies. Ek probeer so hard om my kind gelukkig te maak, maar ek kry dit nie reg nie.
Probeer net help, dis al.
Jy doen niks sonder bymotiewe nie.
So jy hou van die tattoo?
Nee. Maar jy kan nie liefde koop nie. En beslis nie myne nie.
Jy regular.
Am I that predictable?
Jy is 'n gereelde klant en ons net so 'n manier om koffie te drink.
How do you like your coffee?
Gewoonlik swart sonder suiker.
Does black and bitter only pertain to your coffee preference?
Ek hou maar net van my koffie sonder melk. Hoe gaan ek 'n bal raak slaan na 2 glase wyn?
That was part of my plan.
Wat? Om 'n tipsie te maak sodat jy kan wen.
I'm terrible at pata.
Hi beautiful souls, this is Nikita Winkler and I am here to share easy tools for stretching that you can do just about anywhere. This is a demonstration, so what's most important is that you take enough time that your body requires to release the amount of tension that you have. So let's get started. In this session, we will do neck stretches. I'm going to show you rotations, full rotations, you can do half rotations, and we're going to add a bit of tapping just to release the tension even more. Alternatively, give yourself a massage. If you have a lot of tension, go for the massage first before you do anything, just to warm the muscles, and let's get going. Full rotation. Releasing at every angle of this rotation. And I'm going to reverse, go the other side. All right, we'll do a half rotation. And then I'm going to just stop for a static stretch. Take the arm over the head, relax the shoulders. Drop the other arm, or alternatively, to deepen the stretch, take it right behind. Hold and release. Change to the other side, arm over the head, release the shoulder, let the weight of the arm pull you into the stretch. If you want to go deeper, take the arm around, relax the arm at the back, and release. One more to the front, interlace the fingers to the back of the head, lean the elbows forward, and release. If you're feeling a lot more tension, either go for the massage or just do some rotations. And that's it for now. Thank you for joining me. Happy stretching, and don't forget to breathe.
The coronavirus that causes COVID-19 has changed since the pandemic started. So does this mean the virus has become more dangerous? Scientists have discovered thousands of mutations to the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus. Most mutations only lead to small changes, but scientists believe one, called D614G, may have made it easier for the virus to infect human cells. This mutation most likely emerged after the initial outbreak in China, and it spread fast after the virus arrived in Europe. By the end of June, the D614G mutation was found in almost all samples of the virus worldwide. Scientists believe this is due to amino acid changes in the virus's spike proteins, improving its ability to infect human cells. Some studies have found more spikes on viruses with this mutation. These spikes latch onto receptors on the surface of our cells. They then transfer the virus's genetic material, called RNA, inside. Being inside the host cell allows the virus to make many copies of itself. Random errors sometimes happen in the copying process, which cause mutations. Although the full effects of D614G are still unclear, some studies suggest that the mutated virus might be more transmissible than the original. This could mean more people getting sick and at a faster rate. Despite this, there isn't any evidence that the disease itself has become more severe. Scientists are worried about mutations possibly increasing the risk of reinfection. Hong Kong reported what could be the first case of virus reinfection on the 24th of August. A healthy man in his 30s is thought to have caught the virus again 4.5 months after he first got sick. During this time, mutations developed and new variants of the virus emerged. Some experts believe these changes may have made reinfections more likely. Mutations are common over the course of a pandemic. New flu vaccines are needed every winter to keep up with genetic changes to the flu virus. If a coronavirus vaccine is found, it could require regular booster jabs. Mutations won't happen overnight, and the coronavirus is mutating slower than the flu virus. But it's important for scientists to keep a close eye on how the virus changes over time. Could we be hearing more about other mutations in the future?